Nestled beside a winding river lay a village burdened by fear. It was a humble place where villagers toiled in fields and whispered tales of their dreaded ruler. King Theron, they called him. A name spoken with a tremor, for the king was as cruel as he was powerful. Theron was known throughout the land for his fearsome appearance. He was a giant of a man, scarred and imposing. His face, rarely seen without a grimace, was said to twist men's souls with terror. Some whispered that he was cursed, his heart turned cold, and his visage twisted into that of a beast. The villagers kept their heads down, their gazes averted. They spoke of Theron's ruthlessness, of his iron fist, and his insatiable hunger for power. Children were hushed at his name, taught to be silent and unseen whenever the king's carriage rumbled through the cobbled streets. Fear, it seemed, was the only harvest that flourished under Theron's reign. In the heart of this fearful village lived a young woman named Elara. Unlike her neighbors, Elara's heart knew no fear, only kindness. Her laughter was as bright as the sun, her spirit as clear as the river that flowed by their home. She possessed a rare and captivating beauty, but it was her gentle nature that truly set her apart. Elara's hair shone like spun gold, framing eyes as blue as the summer sky. Her touch was gentle, her words like soothing balm. She cared for her widowed mother with unwavering devotion, her days filled with chores and her heart filled with songs. Elara saw the good in everything. She spoke to the birds in the trees, befriended the stray dogs, and offered a kind word to even the most troubled souls. The villagers, hardened by fear, couldn't help but smile at her presence. She was a beacon of hope in their darkened world, a reminder that even in the face of tyranny, beauty and kindness could still bloom. One crisp morning, Elara ventured into the village market, her basket swinging on her arm. It was market day, and the air buzzed with hushed conversations and the calls of vendors. Elara, lost in her thoughts, moved gracefully through the crowd, her presence a stark contrast to the fear that clung to the air. Unbeknownst to her, King Theron, hidden from view in his carriage, had also decided to visit the market that day. As Elara passed by his carriage, a ray of sunlight caught her hair, illuminating her like an angel. Intrigued, Theron leaned forward, his cold gaze fixing upon the young woman. He'd never seen anyone like her beauty so pure, her spirit so free. A strange feeling stirred within him, something unfamiliar and unsettling. He who had never desired anything but power found himself consumed by a desire to possess this radiant creature. He would have her, he decided, as his queen. The very next day, a contingent of the king's guards arrived at Elara's doorstep. Their faces were grim, their armor glinting coldly in the sunlight. The villagers watched from afar, their hearts heavy with a premonition of dread. Their worst fears were confirmed when Elara and her mother were dragged from their home, their pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears. They were taken to the castle, a looming fortress of cold stone and iron bars. Elara's heart pounded in her chest. Her mind reeling from the sudden turn of events, she was brought before the king, his scarred face even more terrifying up close. "You will be my queen," Theron declared, his voice a guttural growl. Elara, despite her fear, found the strength to refuse. She had heard the whispers of the king's cruelty, and she would not be his possession, his trophy. Her refusal, a whisper of defiance against his might, enraged Theron. His eyes blazed with fury, and he ordered Elara and her mother imprisoned in the castle dungeons. The dungeons were cold, damp, and reeking of mildew. Days turned into nights, marked only by the meager meals that were shoved through a slot in the heavy wooden door. Elara's spirit, however, refused to be broken. She comforted her mother, sang her songs, and clung to the hope that somehow they would be free. 10 days passed, 10 days of fear and uncertainty. Then, one morning, the heavy door creaked open, revealing the imposing figure of King Theron. He looked upon Elara, his face etched with a mixture of frustration and longing. Turning to her mother, he offered a chilling proposition. He would spare their lives, release them from their prison, if Elara agreed to marry him. Elara's heart sank. She couldn't bear the thought of her mother suffering any longer. With tears streaming down her face, she agreed to the king's terms. She would become his queen, sacrificing her own happiness for the sake of her mother's freedom. Section 6, Beneath the Surface. The wedding was a lavish affair, a stark contrast to the despair that filled Ilara's heart. She stood beside Theron, his hand cold and heavy upon hers, feeling like a captive bird in a gilded cage. The villagers looked on, their faces a mixture of pity and relief. The beast had won, they whispered amongst themselves, their beloved Ilara lost to him forever. Life as queen was a lonely existence. Theron, despite his outward cruelty, seemed strangely drawn to Ilara's light. He sought her company, her gentle nature, a soothing balm to the turmoil that raged within him. He confided in her, sharing tales of his past, of the pain and betrayal that had hardened his heart and twisted his features. Ilara listened, offering words of comfort and understanding. She began to see a different side to Theron, a flicker of vulnerability beneath the gruff exterior. She saw the pain that haunted his eyes, the loneliness that clung to him like a shroud. He wasn't a beast, she realized, but a broken man, imprisoned by his own past. Section 7. The Power of Love. As days turned into weeks, Ilara's presence began to have a profound effect on Theron. Her kindness, like a warm embrace, chipped away at the wall around his heart. He found himself drawn to her laughter, to the way she saw beauty in even the smallest of things. He, who had long forgotten the meaning of joy, found himself smiling again. He began to treat his subjects with more compassion, his rein softening from one of fear to one of understanding. He listened to their pleas, offered help where needed, and began to rebuild the trust that he had so carelessly destroyed. The villagers, witnessing this transformation, were astonished. Word spread throughout the land of the changes in King Theron. He was no longer the beast they feared, but a wise and just ruler, and at his side always was his queen Ilara, her love the catalyst for his extraordinary transformation. Section 8. The King's Redemption. The fear that had once clung to Theron like a shadow began to dissipate, replaced by a newfound sense of peace. He looked at Ilara, truly looked at her, and saw not a possession, but a woman of extraordinary strength and compassion. He saw the love in her eyes, the love that had bloomed even in the darkness of his cruelty, and he was humbled. He realized the depth of his error, the cruelty he had inflicted, the pain he had caused. He vowed to spend the rest of his days atoning for his past, to be worthy of the love that Ilara so selflessly offered. He treated her with the respect and adoration she deserved, showering her with kindness and affection. He rebuilt the kingdom in her honor, creating a land where kindness and compassion reigned supreme. He established schools and hospitals, tore down the walls that had separated him from his people, and ruled with a just and loving hand. The beast was gone, replaced by a king worthy of his crown. Section 9, Happily Ever After. And so, the tale of King Theron and Queen Ilara became a legend, whispered from generation to generation. It became a story of hope, a testament to the transformative power of love. It taught that even the darkest of hearts could find redemption, that beauty could blossom in the most unexpected of places. Ilara, with her unwavering faith and boundless love, had achieved what no one else could. She had broken the curse, not with magic or might, but with the sheer force of her gentle spirit. She had tamed the beast and, in doing so, had shown the world that even in the face of adversity, love could truly conquer all. And so they ruled together, King Theron and Queen Ilara, their reign marked by peace, prosperity, and an enduring love that time could never diminish. The village by the river flourished, no longer shrouded in fear, but bathed in the warmth of their happiness. The beast was gone, and in his place stood a king, forever bound to his queen by a love that had redeemed them both.